In this section right here, what we're going to do is we're going to take a first look at actually creating some small PHP scripts. Idea of this lesson is to get you familiar with integrating PHP with HTML. So first thing I guess you need to know is a little bit about PHP tags. Logan?
Yep, if you're going to write PHP, you got to know how to tell it where the PHP is.
So we'll first do this by just telling Kristen to write us a script.
Okay.
So what do we need to do to write a script?
Open up the notepad.
Okay, now what?
Type stuff. Type in head.
Type
Give
in.
it the less than.
Well, if we want it to be
Or do you want to do a
completely
PHP script?
proper, HTML.
Yeah,
okay.
that's what
And
I'm
of course,
talking
you know, at the end, that's going to finally get closed with HTML. We'll close the tag off. Now let's see. We can say head, as you just said.
Yeah, I'm a beginner.
Inside head,
This
we
is my disclaimer.
can throw in a title and my first PHP script.
Wow,
And
you're a beginner too?
we can, yeah, of course. I've never done this before. So we can end the title, and we'll go ahead and end the head section. And now we'll just go ahead and jump on down and do start of body, and we'll go ahead and close the body. I'm just opening and closing these tags just for beginners out there, just to kind of know where I'm working at. Now inside the body, let's come in here and throw some stuff. Now right now, if I just came in at this moment and said, hi there, is this going to actually print out when I see this web page?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, because it's just going to be controlled by or fed straight to your browser, right?
Right.
Okay, the little one-liners. Yes, no, yes. All right.
That
yeah,
is
this
correct.
is actually a tape recorder that he just reaches over and presses the button.
Excellent.
Yes.
Never had a
Right.
tape recorder tell on me before. Okay, so let's just take this and
It's the new Sony tape recorder.
so we'll do
No baloney with Sony.
a line break. Now what I want to do is go ahead and throw in some PHP here and have a small PHP script actually echo out some content to my browser, okay, for my
Right.
actual web page. So to do this, what I need to do is I need to actually tell the PHP parser that here you go, this is something that you need to work with. Right, Logan?
Right. If this is named .php, Apache is going to hand this file over to the PHP parser no matter what. But it's the parser that actually goes in there and decides what part of it's PHP and what's not.
So you're saying that the whole document shouldn't just be named HTML or HTM. We need to actually name it.
Right, because one of those config lines when we configured Apache to use PHP, one of those specified which files PHP should handle.
Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if in the config you said, like, dot something else, this would have to be named that dot something else.
Yeah, it would have still. We could have definitely done that, and it would have still, as long as we use that dot something else extension,
In the
it would have.
config? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
then
the-
I completely understand.
Which config file are we talking about, Kristen?
The Apache one.
Which
the
one?
HTTD one or whatever.
HTTD
dot. No, config.
Logan, give it to him. HTTP.
Oh, DP. I'm sorry.
Dot
I missed the
config.
letter.
No, you just remember the config file. I
Oh,
understand.
yeah.
I thought that's what you were talking about.
Yeah. Nothing. So, anyways.
Keep going. Fool.
Anyways. Oh, shut up. So now in this section right here, to jump into this, what I'm going to do is use a less than symbol, a question mark, and PHP. And this will designate that what follows is going to be PHP. So we're now at this point scripting, right? And I'll go ahead, let's jump on down here, and I will end the tag as well. So everything between this starting tag and this ending tag right here is going to be PHP code, okay? So now let's go ahead and jump in here and start writing something. So first line, let's just jump on over here, echo. Echo? What's echo mean?
Would that be kind of like a print command?
Kind of so.
Okay.
But someone who's never done any program before is going to go, a print command? What is a print command? I got to do the print command. Can I go to the store with the print command? What's the whole point?
Whatever you echo in this is going to get printed out on your web page.
Oh,
So
okay.
if now
Kind
you
of
said
like how
echo-
this stuff up here was getting printed out on my web page.
Exactly. And am I correct in saying that HTML is reading the hi there, and whatever you put inside the quotes beside echo, the PHP is going to be reading?
Well, the PHP is going to actually take that, translate it, and just send it back in an actual final web page format to your browser to just print out.
Okay.
As
that
if
makes
it was no different than this right here.
sense. Okay.
So we'll just say echo, hi there. What do you want me to say?
Kristen.
Kristen. You just anywhere you can get that name, right?
That's right.
Hi there, Kristen. And let's go ahead and just close that off. And we are going to put a semicolon at the end, a terminator. Logan, tell us about terminators.
Okay, after echo, you're telling it to do something. You're telling it to send some information to the browser. Now, you need to tell PHP when you're done with that command, when you're done working on that echo, because there's more stuff you could add. You can actually add stuff after the quotes and add more stuff, or add more stuff in the quotes. But you have to tell it when you're done with that echo command and when it should start looking for another command or function.
Okay.
Like another.
No, continue. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm done.
That's a very good explanation.
So my question is, all right. Well, we'll come back to my question in just a minute with terminators, because I'm going to talk just a little bit about whitespace. But first, so what we've got right here is just a basic HTML document, right? We're specifying a title that's going to appear at the top of the browser as our title. Inside our body area, we're just simply sending out some regular text to our browser. Then we're jumping into a PHP script, and we're using just a simple command called echo, and we are sending it something that's inside quotes, which is alphanumeric. Okay, this is something that's not going to be read by the parser as some sort of command or something, but it's just something that's literally going to be echoed back out to your web browser, and we're sending it Kristen. We have a semicolon at the end to terminate this line. Okay, so the parser knows all of the information involved in this line and where the line ends, and that ends the script, and at that point it ends the HTML document. So what I'm going to do is File, Save As, and we're going to save it back up under the web root that we created earlier, and I'll go ahead and change this to all files, and we'll call this first PHP dot PHP. Now that's the important part. Make sure to have the dot PHP there at the end so that this file does get handed over to that PHP DLL that we saw earlier so that it could process all the PHP script that's found inside this actual file. So with that said, I'll just go ahead and save this, and we'll minimize it for the moment. And let's come back in here and open up our browser. Let's go back over to localhost and first PHP dot PHP, and there we go. We've got hi there, and we've got Kristen.
And the title.
Oh, yeah, and the title. My first PHP script, though, that's not what we're focusing on.
Right.
Okay, so does this make sense?
Oh, yeah, perfect sense.
Real easy, right?
Yeah.
So now, yeah, that's cute and fine, but, you know, there's going to be a time when you're going to want to do more. Let's not pull that one up there. Let's look for this one to pull up. It's like, I didn't know that one was still open.
Oh, okay.
That's another script. Okay, so obviously, for PHP to be so popular and so powerful, we've got to be able to do more than just echoing stuff out, right?
Right.
Now, in this section right here, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm not going to get really deep into all of the different things that we can do with PHP because we'd be here forever, and that's the reason that we're going to put these CDs out monthly, right? Or at least close to monthly anyways. So I don't want to get too deep, but I do want to introduce you to a little bit more. So what I'm going to do, even though we're not going to get into talking about exactly what functions are in depth right now, I do want to go ahead and use a little bit of a function to show you something. So let's go ahead and change our script around. Right now it's saying, hi there, Kristen. If I come in here and let's just take these out, and let's just throw a space in there, what's this going to print out like, Adam?
Hi there, Kristen, all is one line.
Good deal. All right, now what I want to do is say, let's go ahead and do a new line now. I'm going to come in here and say echo, and did you know the date was, I'm going to put a space, and now, let's see, there's so many different ways we can go about doing this. First, let me come back up here, and I'm just going to do another break up here or force a line return. So did you know the date is? Now, I want PHP to actually insert today's date into this web file or this web page that gets sent back to your browser.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to use a function that is called date. It's available built into PHP to actually come up with this information for me. So to do this, I'll just simply say, what's the best way to do this? Let's just do another echo, and we'll tell it to echo out the date. And now the date is actually going to take some information in. Now, for a lot of you out there that are new to programming, this will definitely seem confusing right now. Don't worry. A little bit later on, we're going to get more in depth as to exactly how functions and arguments work. But I just want to, again, just showing you something. So month, date, and year. And let's see. Anything else we want in there? Let's go ahead and terminate this line. Hey, look good with you, Logan?
Yep, looks good. You're missing a question mark, but that doesn't really mean anything.
So, question mark, where are we missing a question mark?
It's a question. So
did you know the date was, and it'll print such and such. And, yeah, let's go ahead and, well, you know what? We'll throw it down here like this. And this will all be on one line, multiple lines, or what?
One. Well,
line.
it'll go after Hi Kristen, and then that will all be on one line.
So all this will be on one line.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and save this out. And let's minimize it, and let's go ahead, open our browser back up, and let's refresh the page. So look at that. So now we've got, hi there, Kristen. Did you know the date was, and in today's date, and the question mark, all on one line?
No, I didn't.
Okay, yes, I believe that. We lose track of time all the time around here.
So does the date function just look at the date on your clock on the computer or what?
On the server.
Okay.
Okay, and it just feeds that back.
which in this case your computer is the server.
That's right. So
originally, yes.
Yes. But yeah, if you're running, if there's a web server running on some remote server somewhere, it's going to look at the server's date.
Okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and come back in here and let's take a little bit closer of a look at this. So we'll open our little script back up. What's happening right here? Well, we're coming in here and we're echoing out Kristen with a forced line return. Then we come down here and we say, did you know the date was? Now we don't have a forced line return, so we're just going to keep appending stuff to the end or concatenating. In this case right here, we're now going to come back and we're going to echo out the result of what this date function gives us back. Now let me give you a quick overview of what a function is. Basically, there are a ton of functions that are built into PHP that you can call on that will do specific work for you. Okay, date is one example. There's a bunch of other ones. Logan, quickly, throw some examples my way.
Well, I know of a lot of string handling functions basically do stuff like you printed out, you have like a mixture of capitals and lowercase, and did you know what date it was? You could actually feed that into a function and make it all capitals or make it all lowercase.
Okay, so what you're saying then is these functions are just there to do work that makes life easier for you.
Right.
As opposed to going through each character one by one and checking to see if it was lowercase, and if so, then making it uppercase. Oh, that would be such a pain.
Like little monkeys.
Yeah. What?
Sure.
Little monkeys that do all your work for you.
Yeah, they're little monkeys in the background. And functions often take information and return information, right?
Right.
And in this case, we've got this function here that we're sending it some information. This is called an argument. The information that we're sending it in this particular case is formatting information. We're telling it how to format the date when it goes to print it out. Now, this function, after it gets that information, it then finds out what the date is, and it returns it back. And you can pretend like basically the area that I've got highlighted right now is where the information is returned back to. In other words, substitute out that whole highlighted area for the result of what date gave you. Okay? So then it would just simply echo out whatever today's date is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now we're using a formatting with a small m, a small d, and a capital Y. And if you look again at the web page, you'll see that we've got 05/19/2002. Well, you see right now we've got a 4-digit number for the year, right?
So if you use the lowercase, it would be 2?
2-digit, yeah.
Okay.
Avoid the whole Y2K problem.
So let's just take this capital. Let's go ahead and make it lower, and we'll save it out. And let's go ahead and bring our page back up and refresh it. And now you've got 05/19/02. Now, the first thing I would think about if I was new to all this is, well, that's pretty cool there, Buzz, but where do you get these things from?
Right.
So, I mean, help. So what I can do is let's just jump in here and go over to www.php.net. And from php.net, you've got search for, and there's several different places where you can search for stuff. But what I want to do is search in the function list. Okay, so I'm interested in that date that you just saw. So I'm going to search for the date function in the function list and go and retrieve the information. There it is, date, description, what it is, the format stuff in which it takes in. And then it starts to get into the following characters are recognized in the format string. And it just goes into, look at this, AM, PM. So that must mean that the date function deals with time as well.
Right.
Okay.
Like hours and minutes.
Hours,
and
minutes.
seconds.
Absolutely. In fact, look at that. Hour,
Wow, you're so smart.
12-hour format, 24-hour format. Go back to sleep. Minutes. There's just all sorts of different ways that you can control formatting this. And if you keep on scrolling down, they give you some basic examples. And if we come down a little bit further, Now they're going to give you a whole bunch of different examples right here where they're just taking this information and they're storing it back into a variable. Don't let that confuse you because we'll talk about that coming up soon. But you'll see how they're just doing a simple call to date, and they're getting the information back. They're asking for it in different ways. Okay, a second ago we saw it with the slashes in here. Here it's asking for the month, day, and year with a 2-digit year, and it's got dots in there as opposed to the slashes. Okay,
Right.
Bunch of good information that you can find in here. Again, just going over to php.net and doing a search up at the top in the function list. Okay, so let's go ahead and just back that back up a little bit to our little page. And you figure if we can go ahead and throw in the date, why not? Let's throw in the time as well.
Might as well.
So just come on down here and jump back over here and echo out. And we could start this with a little
line break
action.
Ah.
And then say, and that the time is space. Now, you see how I'm echoing these out on their own lines? I can also put additional stuff all on a single line by adding them together or concatenating one thing to another. That means just
Can you spell that?
appending from one to the other. Aren't you supposed to be sleeping right now? Those
Sorry.
sleeping pills aren't working. Adam,
Yeah.
get some more.
Okay.
To add to a string, okay, just to append to the end of it, we can simply use a dot. Now, the spaces are not necessary, but I just like to do it. It keeps things looking clean for me.
Yeah, easy to see.
So what I want to do is append to the end of this, and we'll just tell it that we want to add another date. And then let's say, let's go ahead and give it a format of, in this case, hours. And now with the capital H, we're going to be looking at military time, right?
Right, 24 hour.
24 hour. And I might as well do it that way since we're sending these CDs all over the world. And seconds. And let's just go ahead and end that off.
So I is minute.
So that is correct.
Okay.
So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take this, add it to the end of this, and we'll have one line.
And if you would have put that break on the end of the question mark, it would have done the same thing, right?
Yeah, if I would have put it right here, absolutely.
Okay.
It would have still forced our line return. So let's go ahead and save this right here. And let's see what we've got. So when we refresh our page, there you go. How you doing, Adam?
I'm doing great.
Does it make sense?
Oh, that's easy.
You ready to start writing PHP right now?
Yeah.
Refresh it again.
So we can. Oh, so we want to see the number actually change?
Mm-hmm. Yay.
49, 50, 51, 50. That could be your new job.
What?
You stand here and just refresh this page.
Monitor the time.
Yeah. And just anytime I want to know what time it is, you just let me know.
Okay, that sounds like a lot of fun.
And technically, you're like an advanced alarm clock because I could walk by and say, Kristen, let me know when it's 1,800 hours.
Ah.
And you can just keep hitting refresh, and then you can go,
So now I'm one of the
18,
monkeys.
18, 18, 18, 18. Then until I hit the snooze, I just come by and slap you in the back of the head. Huh?
I like it.
I do, too. I wonder if we could market that.
I don't think I'll be
I
that
think you
pleasant of
can.
an alarm.
She'd actually bite you and you go to slap the snooze. Ah!
Wake up!
That wouldn't be good. Okay, so let's go ahead and come back in here. Let's take a look at just a couple more things. Let's go ahead and get that back up. Let's say that I'm going to cut this line out altogether. And I jump back out, and let's say, and we'll just throw one of those in, and okay, now not in a script. So that's going to print out like normal, right?
Right.
I don't need to have no quotes around it, no terminators, no nothing like that, no echo command, etc.
Right.
I'm just back into doing a regular web page, right?
Right, you're back in plain HTML at this
You
point.
got it. So let's say I want it now to say, okay, we're now back into a regular script. Let's go ahead and break.
So
and
HTML just goes line for line.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Did you know that the time was, now we're still regular HTML, right?
Right.
All right, so now let's just take this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back into PHP again. I'm just wanting to demonstrate doing it again. This time, instead of doing the less than question mark PHP, I'm going to do it the way that I normally like to do it, which is just going to be less than question mark. Okay, it's just kind of a shorthand way of doing it. And now we'll just come in here and say echo. And we'll do a little space in there if we wanted to, or do we have to? No, not necessarily. And let's not even do that. We'll just say we're going to echo out the date, and again, we'll do the same thing that we did a second ago, where we did hour, minutes, and hello, missed minutes and seconds. Okay, and to throw AM or PM on the end, Logan, what do we need to do?
Just put a lowercase a on it.
Right after the S, or another?
Depends on how you can put a space in it. You can do whatever.
Or if I wanted to put a symbol in there, it would actually echo that symbol back out, right?
Unless that symbol meant something to it, but
Well,
probably
yeah.
not.
Okay, so we just space and do like that right there?
Exactly.
And this will take care of AM and PM?
Yes. A is AM and
And it'll be
PM,
lowercase,
depending
right?
on the time.
And again, this is something we could just simply find for
Right.
that function list, right?
I would also take the H to a lowercase h for 12-hour time. 'Cause AM and
Ah,
PM means
yeah,
a lot more
so-
than 12-hour time.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and do that, and we'll just finish this off like such. Again, I'm still going to terminate the line, and we will now jump back out. Okay? Look good?
Looks good.
So the whole idea is just to show you that, we start out regular HTML, we jump into PHP, we get back out of PHP, we're doing regular HTML again, regular HTML, everything's going great, then boom, we just hop right back into it. Now, again, we're sending information off, parsers calculating, sending information back to the
make
browser.
sure you use terminators
Okay.
when you're using PHP.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit more about terminators in just a second. So let's go ahead and save that out. Let's open this back up. Let's do a refresh. Okay, I'm now not in a script. Did you know that the time was blah, 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 and it is PM? Hey, it's 7:32 at night. Man, time just goes by like crazy.
Whoa.
Everybody looks at their watch all at the same
It's
time.
like, really?
That was pretty interesting. Okay, so we see everything is working good.
Right.
All right. Now, there are a bunch of different functions out there that are very useful. One more that I want to go ahead and show you real quick is, what if you wanted to get somebody's IP address that actually requested a page from your server? I could come in here and say, did you know that your IP address was space? And again, what am I going to need to do?
Pop back into PHP.
Okay, so I'll just do less than question mark.
Right.
Echo out. Okay, and what do we want to echo? There is a function called get_env, get environment, and so we'll just say get_env.
That's gen.
And or generate from, or no, get, don't say that. And what we want to do is we're going to feed it remote and ADDR and close that off. This, and we'll close out again. Now, probably missing some line returns in there, some breaks, some new lines. Maybe, yes. Where do you want to put one? Kristen? Anybody?
You can put one at the end of that. Did you know what the time was?
So,
Or you can put one at the beginning of that one, couldn't you?
could I just right here come in here and do one right there?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, what we're doing, getting an environment variable, which we'll talk more about those a little bit later, and we're feeding it remote address. Okay. Basically, it's the web server is going to say, all right, what I want to do is, or the PHP parser is going to say, what I want to do is get the remote address from this remote guy that's requesting this document. Okay, so it's going to get his IP address.
Okay.
So we'll come back in here and we'll save. And in this case right here, we're running it on a local machine. So what should we see, Logan?
Our own IP.
Our own IP
Or the loop.
or the loopback.
Yeah, the loop back.
Let's come back in here, do a refresh, and there you go with the 127.0.0.1. Okay.
You don't have to answer this if this is actually more complicated than I'm thinking, but is there like a function that will get you like how many times your page has been viewed? You know, like how some like web pages have those little counters on it, or is that difficult? I mean, is that more than just a function?
Compared to this, that's difficult.
Okay, I didn't know. I didn't know if you could just be like page count and then be like, I didn't know if that was like an actual function you could just put in
Well,
there.
how is it going to know? What happens to everything after it's been generated? It's not storing anywhere. It's just running once.
Well, the Apache log, of course, is storing, but
Well, yeah, but
now we're going to make it even more
so
complicated.
okay, so maybe some random hacker who's really just like might know that your page has been viewed. That's not. That's it. It has to have the that value stored somewhere.
Okay.
You see what is he getting at? Tell me.
Yeah, it's got to be like it's got to refresh, doesn't it? Like.
Well, what he's saying is when
Is that just
somebody asks to see this page and the server says, "Here you go," give it to you. The server now needs to mark that down somewhere that they've just sent out one. Then the next time around, the server gives a page out to another person he needs to mark down. That's two. Okay, so that if you said, how many times was my page viewed, then the server could say, oh, 1, 2. 2 times. But right now we've got to actually store that information somewhere. And you know what? Might as well, over the course of the VTMs, we'll just write a simple counter to keep track of how many times the page has been viewed. It's actually very easy.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's just for right now, it's definitely way out of line for this. So anyways, there you go. Now we've shown IP address. Still nothing all that bad, would you say?
No.
Finally, let's go back into the script real quick one last time. White space. Logan, if I take this right here and do a carriage return like that and tab this over, is that still going to run fine?
Yes. Yes, it will.
So I could come down here and make this whole thing look really messy and do stuff like this, right? Not saying that this is something that you would want to do, but this is completely fine, right?
Right.
Remember a few minutes ago when we were talking about terminators briefly, and I said we'll come back to them. I want to talk just a little bit more.
Right.
The reason that the terminators are so critical is because white space is ignored by the parser. In other words, I can come in here and I can do spaces like that.
They don't mean a thing, right?
Any effect, Logan?
None
Are we
whatsoever.
messing anything up? Nope. Basically, it comes in and sees the echo command. There's a space, okay, so it knows that that's the echo command. And that's just going to start ignoring spaces. It's going to ignore any of your line returns. It's going to ignore everything until it gets to some other character other than space or your line return. And then it's going to start processing again. Is this some sort of string? Is this a variable? Is this something else that we're actually going to output? Okay. Because of this method, because of having these terminators and being able to use white space, the advantage that you're going to see out of this is going to be the ability of writing code that's very readable. So in other words, later on when you start learning how to do commands that with arguments and everything tied onto it end up being extremely long and go off your screen, you can break that up so it all fits nice and neatly, in one section. You agree with that over there, Logan?
Yes, I use that a lot.
It helps make things a lot
Yes, it does.
easier to read. So I just wanted to point that out now because later on I'm sure I'll be saying, all right, we're just going to break this up into multiple lines so that it's easy for us to read, or since we've got such a small and limited space right here, all right, and we don't want to have a whole lot of stuff going off the screen where we're scrolling back and forth. And I'll probably just throw in real quick, remember that's the usefulness of a terminator and white space. Okay, so this is really all I wanted to talk about in this lesson, just enough to get you up and running with a simple HTML page, and that's what we've got here. To show you how we can go into PHP and exit out of PHP using the PHP tags. I've shown you there's several different methods we can do. This is one way using a less than $PHP. A shortened method is just less than ? And there is yet another method too. Let's not talk about it on this one. Does that sound fair, Logan?
Yes.
We'll just keep this nice and simple. And we showed you how to use a basic command. We've been using the echo command. Then we also talked very briefly about functions being built-in procedures inside of PHP that you can call upon to handle some sort of task. It'll take information in, like we're sending information here, to the date function. It's going to work on that and send information back to you. All right, and that's pretty much it.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very informative.
Anything you want to add to that, Logan? Or
No, that's good.
all right, so with that ends this section. Thanks, guys.